go over what happened in the previous classes, and then we will continue from where we left. So initially, we created the project. Before activating the project, we had created a virtual environment with my Django as the name. So this virtual environment can be activated with activate.ps1. Let's go activate that. My Django project. Env scripts activate.ps1. So now I have this enabled. So I've installed Django and used Django admin to create this project and add new applications. This project I've created, and we have created an app called Home and one more app called Notes. And we have created models, templates. We have welcome template and authorized template, which is accessible only for the logged in user. For simulating the login, uh, we have used Django admin itself, admin interface. And we have converted from class-based views, the function-based views into class-based views. So in function-based views, we use decorators like this. And in class-based views, we use mixins that are there by default from Django. And then we have gone to Notes application, and we have created a list view and detail view with the class-based templates, generic templates. And then we have created a popular notes view also. Whenever we add a new view, we also add that path and the URLs like this. And when I'm using class-based views, I will have to use as view function to convert that into the format that this function accepts. If it is a function-based view, you can just use the function name directly, views dot whatever function name that you want to render. So in the templates, we have seen notes list view and detail view. And we have created a welcome view here. Yeah. The next thing is to add static style sheets to our HTML. Let's go do that. So right now we haven't included any CSS in these pages. So we need to add CSS. For that, let's go to templates. So I want to add a new CSS file and include this here. So within the project, I'll go create a templates directory, static directory. Inside that, I will create a CSS directory, and I'll create a new file called style.css. And this file, I'm going to just give a sample CSS rule, color red I will use. So this static file I need to include in this template, or it's in the notes list view. Probably we'll try to use it in the notes application instead of the welcome application. So in this template notes list view, I want to display this note as red. The style sheet I need to include in this. For doing that, let's do the modifications to some of the settings. So whenever I want to include a static file, so I need to first configure Django to look for where it should look for the static files. For that I need to go to settings, and if you search for static, there is something called static URL. So whenever I access static endpoint, it serves data or files from the static endpoint. So if you go to this URL, you can find about how to configure static files and serving static files from the Django project. So we Here we need to specify so which uh, directory this static files need to be served. For that, I need to configure one environment called static files static files directories. So Django, if this is there, it will look for this locations in this array. So for this, I'm going to use base directory. Base directory specifies the base directory of the project, which is my example project. And on that, I have static. So in this directory, all static files I'm going to store. So even this has style sheets or under static directory. So this is all we need to configure for Django to find these static files. Next thing, we need to go into the template where we want the styles.css included. Let's go here and create a static import. So for us to load static files, we need to also declare something on top of the template. So this one should be load static. This notifies Django that this particular template uses static files in it. So to parse for static files and get those static files included in this template, we need to declare load static here. So here I'm going to use the link for the static file, relation style sheet, and source needs to be, sorry, href, needs to be the static file location. How do I know the static file location is like this? Static, and we should specify the path of the file, css style.css. So we have configured in the settings till this path, static path. So CSS and style.css has to be mentioned here. So this automatically defines the static URL. When we load, it will dynamic URL, it will generate and include it in here. This is how we use static files inside a template. So in this place, I'm going to add a new class called nodes li. This one will become red because I've defined the color as red. So let's go to my project, Python manage.py run server. Let's go to this URL. Send to application. Now I'll go to nodes. Now it's showing as red. If you inspect and see the HTML, we can see the head has static CSS styles.css. Okay. Next thing we are going to look at is extending this template so that we can reuse code. Say now every template has this HTML head, all this details in it. So what if I want to extract all this into one single file and only specify this particular portion, which is going to change for every single view. So all the common functionality I'm going to put into one simple base HTML file under static directory. So let's go to static. I'll create a new folder called templates. Folder templates. And I'm going to create a new file called page.html. This nodes list, I'm going to use this entire portion from here to here. Copy that, and from here to here, I'll copy that and add it here. In this portion, I'm going to declare a block called block content. This block will specify the override mechanism. So this content will get replaced by the view specific code. So this base template, I'm going to use it inside this nodes list view and node details view, all that. So in order to extend this, we need to use a keyword called extends in the nodes list view. I'm going to declare it as extends base.html. And after that, I'm going to declare the block content, and I'm going to put this code inside this block and block. So what I specified here, this block content, this content name is just a name. You can use anything here. You can say like my content or something else. Whatever name we give here has to be used when we are replacing that code block here. So if I'm declaring this block as content here, this gets replaced. This code will get replaced by this particular code. So now let's go to, so before we go to the UI, we need to configure one thing. So we have specified base.html, but we haven't specified the Django server where to find the base templates. So this usually, it will fail if we do it now. If we access the UI, this base.html will not be found because Django doesn't know where to find this base.html. So for that, there is one configuration setting we need to do. Settings that we find, and inside the templates, there is something called templates. Here we can specify what all directories to look for templates. So I'm going to use the base directory /static/templates as one of the directories to look for base templates. So now let's go start the server and access this nodes list view. If I go to this browser, let's go to the browser. If I refresh, it does the same thing, except that the code now is using extended template. So now we will just change the detail view also to use the base template. Let's go copy this extends base.html, or we'll just write it one more time. Go to node details view. I'll just replace this particular block. This one also. Want to declare extends base.html. I'm going to define the block here, block content, and after this text, I'm going to use any block. And now let's go back to the details view and see things. Details. And this is getting displayed the same thing. If you see the head, the static file is already there. because we use the base template, and static file has been included in the base template. We'll go back to the code. So here we are replacing the specific block with the block content. So now I will add some CSS library to this, which is called Bootstrap CSS. If I go to the browser and check for Bootstrap, include URL, I'll just go to the browser and search for Bootstrap, include via CDN. So you can have this link included in the code. I'm going to copy this entire content and go back to my code. Here in the base template, I'm going to use that HTML. So this link I'm going to use to copy this link. I'll use it after style.css like this. This is for including Bootstrap CSS, and this is for Bootstrap JavaScript. We don't need these things anymore. And inside the body, at the end of the block, I'm going to include the script. So this is JavaScript. So default functionalities and CSS roles come along with Bootstrap. So those things we can use just by declaring the classes. We can use the Bootstrap functionality. So let's add some sample Bootstrap code here. If I go to my base, this is my base template. And if I go to nodes list, let's go add one text here. For this, I will add a division element. I'm going to wrap this up in the div element. And div element, I'm going to give a class name, which contains margin y 5 pixels, y direction, give 5 pixels as margin, and text center, which will center the text, and container, will add border to the container. And this is all Bootstrap classes. We'll go in depth into Bootstrap, how to use these library, and when we are discussing about the UI implementation. Let's go to the browser and check how this looks now. Notes. So before this list view, let's go here, and the text is now centered, and we are good. Let's go back to the base. I just want to do small modification to URLs here. This URL, I'm putting it as list. Let's say if you see the base URLs, if I access nodes, by default, it makes sense to go to the list view. Or we can say in the home view, in the home URLs, we can, just like we did here, we can use the same kind of logic in the nodes URLs to directly go to the list view if there is nothing specified. We'll leave it for now. We'll change that some other time. Let's go add some button in the welcome page. In our welcome page, let's go to this place and add something here. So I can actually use the base template itself even here. Let's go do that now. Extends base.html, but only this entire thing. block content. Place this with and block. And here I will add a button, a link to the URL. If you go to this URLs.py, we can also give some names to these URLs. Now we have path list, right? We can actually give a name to this path at the end. So name equals nodes.list. So I'm going to name all these paths, and this will be useful when we are using the names instead of paths. I'm going to name this as nodes.popular, this as nodes.detail. So this nodes.list view is what I want this link to have. So inside the href, I'm going to use URL as nodes.list. This will populate the link dynamically based on our chosen name of the link. So you get populated. So inside the class, I will just use button and button primary. These are all bootstrap classes. So check out some notes. This is actually going to create a button, a link that looks like a button. Let's go see that in action. If I go to home page, there is a button now that goes to nodes list view. Good. Now we have the names defined and we have styles defined. And similarly, when I click on this particular link, I would want this to go into the detail view of the page of this particular element or nodes. So for that, I will go to nodes detail view, nodes list view, and then change the links there. Let's go there. Nodes list. So when I'm rendering this, I will make this list item as a link instead of just a plain text item. I'm going to use some bootstrap CSS to make this look better. So this one I'll just use as class margin y 5 pixels, y direction give 5 pixels scan, and this one I'm going to convert into a division element instead of an ordered list. I'll use division and class something like a row. I'm going to display all these items as columns, all these list items nodes as columns inside one row. So let's do that. So columns 3, so it will wrap around. If there is more than 3 elements, it will wrap. So row calls 3 means in one row display 3 of the node items. Let's iterate through each of these items. Then we'll create a division element again here to display it as a box instead of a list item. I'll use class as call, which means column, and one more division. And then inside that, I'm going to put it as a link here. This entire thing will become a link. So this link will point to should be pointing to the detailed view URL. So in the detailed view, if we go to the URLs, the detailed view has been given the name notes.detail. Let's go to the notes list. URL I'm going to use notes.detail, and this also requires one more parameter called PK. PK should be note.id. So this note.id. So we'll just give some specify the text also. We'll display the text also here. So note.text. Suppose here. So this one we don't need anymore. We'll give some classes to this for styling purpose. So I'll use text text decoration none, so that we don't need an underline. If it is a link, by default it underlines the text. Decoration, if I declare as decoration none, it won't decorate it. And here we'll need to do some border. Probably we'll give a padding of 3. We will display a border around this area. We'll look into this, how this looks. Let's go to the UI. Let's refresh. Now it's showing this 2 item that's showing. This is the details. This is the description, which is text, and this is the title. Something is missing here. We should use it inside a proper division. We should use this text also here. As this is coming out of the box, we should put it inside the box. I'll show you what I did. So what I did is just moved this statement. It was earlier out of this place. It was here. Just moved it from here to inside here. Let's go back and see the UI. Refresh. It's all coming in one single box. We can do some more optimizations here. Division, we have column, and inside that we have one division. It has border, then a let's leave it at that. I think we can put it under a P paragraph element. And let's see the UI. All right. Let's look at that. So next thing we will do is we'll do the same thing with the detail view also. We have this list view, and we will go with changing the detail view also to have some styling. Let's go to details view, notes details. I will add some CSS rules here. I'll put this entire thing under a division. written badly under one division. This division going to use a class with border. I'll use rounded borders. H1 I'll use some padding or margin and by 5, which gives a vertical padding of 5 pixels, margin of 5 pixels, and that's it. Just go back to the UI detail view and see if the links are working fine. So now this is a list view, refresh, and this acts as a link. When I go click on this link, it goes to the detail view. It shows the detail view. Now we don't have a back button. We can implement that as well. And for now, that's enough. We'll just go back to the code and see some more optimizations in the templates. So now we have extended base template, and what if we have a common functionality that is not part of the all the pages, but part of specific set of pages. So for that, we need to include one template into another template. So let's go create a partial template here in the welcome page. Let's say I want to display a list of advantages of my uh, application. I will add a division here. H1 advantages of my app. I'll just list the advantages. Mhm. Uh, This particular block I will extract into a separate template. Just use it as advantages.html and put it all over here and use this template in here instead of this entire block. For doing that, I need to use one special statement, include, and the template name we should give notes slash welcome. Oh, sorry, it should be home slash welcome.html because it's in the home application. Sorry, it should be advantages. Sorry, not welcome, advantages. We have used the advantages template. Inside welcome template, we are using advantages template. Let's go see this in action. Let's go to the home page. And we don't have a slash path that exists. Home advantages.html does not exist. Where did we do from? Okay, I missed a spelling. It should be singular. It is singular. I've used advantages.html here, whereas my template name is advantage.html. I'll just rename this to advantages. And let's go back to the browser. Refresh. Here we go. So advantages of my app, I'm listing. And when I click on check some nodes, it goes to the list view. If I click on one particular node, it goes to the detail view. So we have built a simple application. Yes. Next thing is to be able to create this. Right now, we are only listing existing objects, and we don't have any way to create these nodes objects in the database. Apart from using Django shell, we haven't done any forms or anything. So now we will build a UI and templates for creating these forms, creating these nodes. So for that, we would have to use views So inside the views, we will have to use a create view. So Django generics has a template called create view. We'll extract this, we'll extend from this create view for that, creating new nodes, class nodes create view. That extends from create view. And here we need to declare the model, which is the model that we are going to create. And what else? Fields also we need to specify. So fields should be the nodes object has so many fields. If we go here, title, text, created, likes, we will only allow users to give title and text, and rest of it will be implemented in a separate view. So title and text I'm going to allow in the views. Fields should be title and text. And let's use this view in the URLs. Define a create URL called path new. Whenever I go to node/new, it's going to show this view as view. And I'm going to give the name to it as nodes.new. This one I haven't imported. Views dot nodes detail view create view as view. It's not showing up here. Views nodes create view. Let's go to views nodes create view. What's wrong with this? If I go to URLs, I think I missed a comma here. Come. Here we go. So now we have a create view, but we are lacking a template called nodes form. So let's go try to access it and see in action what we are missing. So if I go to nodes/new, the view that we just now created will render, and it's expecting a template called nodes form.html. So let's go create that nodes form.html. In the nodes templates, I'm going to create a view template called nodes form.html. And here I'm going to use a pre-built functionality of Node.js. So before that, I'll just need to extend the template I have, extend the base.html to include all the HTML head and styles, everything. And I'm going to override the block content and just to end block also. Within these two statements, I will create a form, and I'll just use something called form. Let's see how this works. Let's go to the UI. Now I have a form. Let's refresh. Duplicate register and load this extends. Okay, I think I did a spell error. Let's go back to the code. Extends is what I should use here. Good. Let's go back to the browser and reload this page. Okay, now we have title and text declared, and it's by default generated by the Django framework. If I include the form element inside this block, if I use just the form, it will automatically populate this form. So based on the fields that we gave in title and text here, same two fields are generated. So based on the type of this field, it automatically figures out what type of input field should be shown in the web browser. So there is still something we should still do. So upon submitting this form, what I should do also has to be specified. And let's add a submit button also before doing specifying the action. I'll just add a button, type as submit, and I'll just do submit here. I'll add some styling here, class, button, button primary, margin by 5. So here, submit action, whenever I submit the button, submit the form, it has to happen. It has to send a post request to the backend. So what's the action required? We should specify it here. So which URL I have to pass in is specified here. It should be the name of the notes.me. So this particular URL, I need to do a post request. This notes.new is the name. I'm going to use this in the form. Notes.new. And I need to also specify which method I should use to submit, which is the post method. We have seen in the REST APIs that there are different type of requests: post, get post, put, delete, all this. So we have to use post method here. And this is first step. So we'll go see the UI and submit a new form and see what happens. Let's refresh. We have a submit button, but let's go to network tab and clear everything. And I'm going to add some simple note, a simple. Here. This is the text of simple note. Let's submit and see what happens. And it is showing as forbidden error. So it's erroring out. So there is post we did, and it is showing the 403 forbidden error. So if you read through this, there is a security feature in Django that doesn't allow without a token, the submissions without a token. So this is to avoid middleman attacks when we are submitting information to the server. If there is somebody intercepting that request and sending a modified request to the server, your data will be corrupted or your data will be stolen. So for avoiding that, by default, Django gives a functionality called cross-site request forgery token. CSRF means cross-site request forgery. So this one we need to include in every form that we use in Django. So this is a great feature when it comes to security. Let's go to our code. So in the form, I'm going to use that CSRF token. When we are submitting this form, it's now sends CSRF token also as part of the post request. If I go back to the browser and inspect the existing post request body, if you go to the payload of this, you can see only these two, title and text, are being passed. CSRF token is not being passed. Now I've added the CSRF token in the code. Let's refresh this page and submit a simple here. Let's go submit. Okay, we haven't specified a redirect URL. We need to also specify that. Success URL also we need to specify. Let's go back to the code. Here we have defined for this particular view, we have defined model and fields. Upon success, what has to happen, we haven't defined. So we need to add that also. Success URL. So after successfully creating the node, where do I go next? Is to nodes/list. Let's go back to the browser and resubmit one more request. Open new, another simple font, another example, and go submit. It has created and then redirected to list view. And if you inspect the new request that went, it is a post request, and we have payload CSRF middleware token. And if you go to new, it is also including the CSRF token in the form. So all this data will go along with this information. It will go along with this. There is a CSRF token that is sent to the server. So this is a great feature in Django. This is very useful in security. So this is list view. We have redirected to list view once the node is created. And then comes the create view is done. Now we have updates also. There is some things we can do with updates also. And but before going to updates, what if I want to customize the fields? Let's say this is text field I'm showing in the uh, title and text. They are text field and text area. What if I want to add some CSS attributes to it? So in order to achieve that, we need to create a custom form renderer. Let's go create new form. So to customize this, let's go create a new file called forms.py and import from Django, import forms. I'm going to customize this form that is rendered in the UI. So I'll import from models, import nodes. I'm going to declare a class called nodes form that inherits from forms.model form. And I'm going to declare a meta class here. So meta class specifies what are the extra parameters or fields that need to be added in this form. So let's go define the model as nodes. Whatever we have specified here, fields and model has to go into this meta class. So I can remove this from here and comment out from here, or we'll comment out later. This fields also we will copy and use it in this. And what next? Let's go back to the views and specify the form class as nodes form. So this one I need to import from forms, from dot forms import nodes form. This I have specified, and we no longer need this model and fields because we have declared these two fields inside the nodes forms meta section. So let's go back to this views and comment on these two things. We are almost set, and there is success URL. It's by default nodes list. It should go there, and that's it. Let's go to browser and see if any difference is there. So now that we are customizing the form, so we haven't done any specific modifications. We are just changing the way who is rendering the form. New. So this should give the template name also. We need to specify template name also in the meta section. Let's go to that. View. Template name we will change in the view. Their template name was notes slash sorry the notes form HTML. Let's go revisit our browser. Fresh. Now we have this form. But this form is getting rendered by our custom extended or overridden form class. So let's say I want to add some bootstrap classes to these form rendered elements. I can do it like this. If I have here the forms, the fields have been defined. So these fields can be overridden with widgets. And before going to widgets or customizations, let's do some validations. So how do I do validations on the existing fields? If a person submits some empty strings in the fields, how do I avoid having those restrictions or validating if the data has been correctly entered in the fields or not? So for that, I need to add something here. Field title. So if it is a field, for every field, this clean underscore the field name function gets called before submitting the form to the database. Before we create the database entity, this thing gets called for every field that we specify here. So we have to define a class, define a function, clean title. That's for now just put as a placeholder. And also we will declare one more function called clean text, which accepts self. So I'll go in depth into what self is in the object-oriented programming with Python. We will have that class from Monday. So here I can get the actual content that is given to the title field. Title equals self dot clean data of title. So this data title field, whatever is filled in the browser and submitted, will be coming inside this clean data. So I will validate here if Django not in title, raise a validation error, This validation error we should still import. I'm just going to put the text here. We only accept notes regarding Django. And validation error has to be imported from Django.core.exceptions import validation error. We can refer to the documentation to find out where we can find these packages and validation exceptions. And if there is no exception here or no validation error, then return title. And in here also, just return text equal self.clean data of text, return text. You can instead do return here itself, but let's do it in a clear way. Now let's go back to the browser and submit some text that doesn't have Django in it and see if the errors are coming up. I'll go refresh some text and submit. Notes form object has no attribute clean data. I think it's cleaned data. We should use cleaned data, not clean data. Here, if we go here, cleaned data is what we should use. All right. Let's go back to the browser. Refresh some text. Refresh again. Some text goes here. my example text goes here, submit, and we have one error being shown. This is the error that is raised from the backend. Okay, that's good. Now I want to display this error text not here, but against this some text or like in the bottom I want to use. So let's use that customizations to the template. See here. So in the style.css, I'm going to add one more thing. So, but before that, I need to see what's the class of this error text that I'm getting. To highlight this and not display this, I need to add a CSS rule that displays this as none. If I go here, this error list is the class for this particular entity. I'm copying this. I go back to the code, and in my style.css in static files, I'm going to add a class here, display none. This says that we should not display this particular class. And once that is done, then I'll go to the notes form and I'm going to display this error text. So I'll add a division here at the end after the form. If form dot errors, then do something. And if I want to display those errors inside this form, form dot errors dot title as text. So if there is an error in the title field, if we go to the views, if there is an error in the title field, it will come in the titles object, title object. If the error is there in the text field or validation error is found in text field, it will come with the text object. So if the errors will have two objects here, title and text. If the error is found in title, it will be in title. If it is found in text, it will be in the text. So this one displays the errors at the bottom. Let's go to the browser and check if this works. Let's refresh and it shows at the bottom. And somehow this is not going away. And do we have the CSS rule here? Let's refresh this and submit a new data. Sample node, submit, and it comes here as well. And this one error list is there. And if we go to the CSS styles, I don't think this is getting included. Let's go back to the CSS. There is some mistake. We should correct. In the CSS style.css error list display none. Display should be hidden, I guess. No, mostly it should be none. Display none. Is it not coming into this notes form? extends based on HTML. This has use static has not been used. It should have out static. Static CSS style CSS. We have it already. I think we should refresh and check. Let me check once. Okay, I didn't refresh. I think it took time to get reloaded. Let's go back to the browser and see. I refreshed. Now I'm going to submit a new note. Sample. Submit. And we don't see that top item because we have that style included. We have the style and this element is not getting displayed. And this element is coming. This is what we needed and we're good with that. Let's go back. And see my code. Yeah. Now, now let's go back to the text field and see if we can change this text areas to a better styling, and if we can add CSS styles to CSS classes to these fields, that would be good. So let's go to the form builder. We have forms, and here I want to add some extra styling to these elements. So for adding extra customizations to these fields that we have, based on the type of this field, automatically the Django framework will choose its styling, whether it is a text area or a text field. It will auto-determine, but we can override that with widgets. Let's define widgets that will specify what type of field I need to use for each of the, what type of element I need to use with each of these fields. For this, I need to use forms dot text field, text input that accepts attributes. So I'm going to give a class attribute which has some bootstrap classes, form control and margin y file. And similarly, I will use overrides for text also, text field also, form start text area values, attributes I'm going to use as class, again, it's going to be form control, same thing. And if I want to override the labels that the data comes with, I can override the labels like this. So text label will come as write your levels here. Okay, let's go see if any errors are there. I think as length is all good. We're good. Let's restart the server. All good. So let's go to the browser and see how this is getting displayed. Let's refresh. And now the titles, the CSS rules have been applied for Bootstrap. The classes have been added. This is how we override how the Django forms are rendered. All right.